Hey y'all, welcome, excuse me, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex, and I would absolutely love it if you want to support me, if you want to support the channel, if you would consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Helps to get the videos out there, inspires me to keep creating, and it just lets me know you guys like the content. I have been recapping this entire season of Love is Blind. Also, I've done a couple of tea videos. Some of them do contain spoilers, so please make sure you read the description box or read the title so you can know which ones of those contain spoilers for the end of the season. But anyway, we today are going to talk about episodes 8 and 9. And boy, this show really heated up in these 2 episodes. Crazy, crazy, crazy. If you haven't seen my 7 and 8 video, I uploaded that yesterday, so check that out. But let's jump right on in. So, episode 8, ciao. Girl, my predictions are always right. Let's begin. So we begin with Monica and Steven. They are having a date at a pressed flower shop.
That's funny.
How are you feeling?
I am excited to prove to him that this is genuine. I feel relaxed for the first time.
Steven decided that he was finally going to give Monica those flowers that she has been desperately begging for. So, he says, hey, this isn't what you asked for, but she says, this is even better, okay? Steven, in his confessional, he rambles again. I'm going to be so honest. When that man talks, I can't really follow. But he's like, when you do something nice, it's a good thing because it makes your girl feel good. And also, if you do something nice, you might get laid. And I was just like, yeah, something's wrong with this man. He's always making like innuendos, sexual jokes. And it gets worse over the course of this episode, so just wait on it. Now, they do talk a little bit about Monica's dad because he does not want to be on the show. But right now, he is questioning if Steven is right for her. How does she know that Steven is not a liar like the last? And baby, foreshadowing. So Hannah and Nick, they go to Nick's parents' house. Now, Nick lives with his parents. Remember, he was a footballer, and then now he's in real estate, aka that man probably doesn't really make any money. So he lives with his parents in the basement.
I'm saying, yeah. And this is Buffy. This is my first stuffed animal. This is Buffy.
Okay. Is this your closet or what's this space?
There's a pool table in there, but...
Oh. And he claims the reason why he lives with his parents is because when he was playing football, it didn't make sense for him to be renting his own place. Look, I always find it funny when people give these like convoluted reasons for why they don't have their own place. Just say you live with your family. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it is what it is. Like, you live with your family, you live with your family. So, Nick's parents are very Catholic, specifically his mom. Hannah is kind of wondering, like, oh, is your mom gonna care that I'm not super religious? Like, it's not really my thing. He does say that it should not matter. They will just see her good character. But they are talking, she shows Nick the basement, or he shows Hannah the basement, sorry. It's clean. I think his mom came down there and cleaned for him. No, but it's clean. But they're talking, and Nick's like, so after the show, we're going to move in here, right? And Hannah's like, no. She's like, we're definitely moving into my apartment after the show. So they do agree that if they stay together, they're going to move into Hannah's apartment. Now, Ramses and Marissa meet up with Marissa's friends. They talk about how everything has been going so great so far. They're in a good spot, except for the conversation that they had with the military. They say that's kind of their first struggle, the first big problem or fight, I guess, that they've had.
Where she was like, you need to go into the military, but if my child wants to go into the military, I will support them going in.
And you as well?
So that's the thing, like we will instill certain values.
Now, he flat out tells the friends, as he's told her, that if she does go back to the military, it would be a divorce because politics and ethics in general are very important to him. And again, as I said in the last episode, nothing wrong with that, but it's like, Ramses, you knew in the pods that she's in the military. And I say this as somebody who has views similar to Ramses. But it's like, you knew she was in the military in the pods. Like, I don't know. If you are this strong on it to the point where you can't even talk about her military service, where it's clearly something that she's very proud of, it's clearly something that was a big part of her life, it's just, why are you with her? Why are you settling? People on this show settle so much, and it's crazy to me. Now, one of Marissa's friends tries to explain to Ramses, like, look, like, the military was a huge part of both of our lives. Like, we really do love the military. It gave us a lot of things that we would not have had. Ramses explains that because he's from Venezuela, he feels for people who have experienced U.S. imperialism. Again, all valid points. Ramses' points on point. But you should really see with Marissa that that's just not something that for her, you guys, I don't think you guys share that same thing. He says, again, it's just not going to work if she chooses to go back to the military. Now, Marissa says that she, in the past, has agreed and, like, allowed people into her life who morally did not agree with her. But Ramses, she claims Ramses isn't like that. She said people that she didn't agree with morally, she used to let into her life, because again, they kind of touch on the Trump supporter boyfriend. And I'm like, is that true though, Marissa, that you and Ramses agree morally, ethically on everything? Because we're not seeing that. So Alex and Tim, today they are having a cookout. You know, Tim's grilling and Alex's dad is going to come over and her family. So before her dad comes over, Alex tells Tim, look, my dad doesn't really know about this, so I'm going to just first introduce you to as like my man, you know, I'm going to tell him like we do live together here, and then I would like you to pull him aside and specifically ask for my hand in marriage. So she goes inside as, you know, her family's all sitting inside. She does go in. The family does eventually come. She goes in, talks with them.
Can't see myself with him. He's coming in right now, though.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hi, how are you? How are you? Excuse me, let me put this down one second. Sure.
Lets them know everything. And, you know, she even discusses the argument in Mexico a little bit with them, saying that they did have that disagreement, but things are better now. Now, her dad and Tim, they do actually start to hit it off a bit. They were both born in Scotland. Like, they have like all these like odd little similarities. So it was pretty interesting. Now Tim does Tim talks to her dad privately. They all go outside. And he reads a letter that he had actually addressed to her dad that he wrote and read to Alex in the pods. So the dad does cry. He really is touched. He likes Tim, and I like Tim. I think Tim seems like a really nice guy as well. I think Tim seems to have a genuine heart. He seems to be very respectful, right? So, but Alex's dad does cry and say, look, even though I just met you, I do believe you. I accept you as my son.
As my son.
Thank you, sir. That means so much to me. It really does.
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir.
You're my boss.
Yes, you can marry my daughter, gives his blessing. And overall, the whole family loves Tim. They welcome in. They already say, welcome to the family, you know, all of this. So family visit goes down quite well with those two. Garrett and Taylor, they go to visit Taylor's apartment. Taylor is living very DC. She has a remodeled basement apartment. If you're from here, you know, those are very common in row houses. They start to get into the conversation of potentially moving to San Diego. Apparently, Taylor's family pretty much all lives in San Diego. She's here for work, but she really wants to kind of move back. Now, Garrett is a bit apprehensive because he says, look, my parents would want to be part of like our lives. If we have kids, my parents want to be part of that. And I don't want it to be a thing where, oh, they just see the grandparents once a year and barely know them. And as somebody who had that experience, you know, in my life, actually, my grandmother on my dad's side passed away when I was very young, when I was like 8. So I didn't have her. And my grandmother on my mom's side actually lives in Grenada, and she has also passed away since, but she lived in Grenada, so I really didn't see her like that. She wasn't really like a huge part of my life. And I mean, like, I don't know, is it like, would it have been different? Maybe. I definitely remember growing up seeing my other friends who had their grandparents living nearby and how much of a part of their life that was. So I can understand what Garrett means with that. I do think, obviously, like, with them being in San Diego, like, it's, I mean, hey, you could still have multiple visits a year. You guys can travel to each other. Her parents seem pretty young, or his parents seem pretty young. They're in good, like, they seem in good shape. They seem fine. They're going to be young. So I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world, but I understood where Garrett was coming from to a level. You know, Taylor says, look, like, a lot of my family is in San Diego, so that is important to me. You know, even though I work remote, I would still need to come back occasionally to DC to do business here because she's a policy consultant. Or a clean energy consultant, sorry. So she's like, we'd still need to come back anyway. But he does say overall he would be willing to consider the move. Now, saw a lot of buzz about this online where people were like, how dare Taylor want to move, you know, in this amount of time? Why are they putting all these people on here who are just going to move? We all have to understand DC is an extremely transient city with working for the federal government and different things and such. There is a lot of people that come here and live here for, I would say, between 1 to 5 years and then move within a 5-year span. It's very common. You know, I've lived here for 5 years now. I originally grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, and I lived here for 5 years. And in the 5 years I've moved here, every single year since I've moved here, I've had a close friend move. Like every year, without fail, including this year. It's just super common. People come here, they stay for a little while, and then they leave to other places for other reasons. So I do think it's obviously a lot for Garrett to move for Taylor, and I do think it shows how much he cares about her. But I think that if you eliminated everybody who had plans to potentially move within, let's say, the next 5 years, you'd be knocking out a lot of DC. So yeah, their conversation goes well. Now, Steven and Monica, they are talking.
I'll tell you.
Talk to me. Tell me, hey, a little less of that, a little more of these.
A little less butt stabs.
Steven says he has no job now. He said he went to work, or he had talked to like the head, what's it called, the foreman or something of the electricians, and they told him, oh no, you have no job anymore. And my question is, you didn't know this? Like, it sounded like he had no idea that he was gonna come back and have no job, and I'm just like, I don't know, I just want to know more about that whole thing. Now, they start to talk about the great boom boom they had.
We've had great sex.
Yeah,
But,
no,
like,
we have, for sure.
Sex is amazing, but then when you started like having concerns about the wedding, it makes
And she says it is good because he's obsessed with her V. Steven says, they keep going on, and then Steven says some convoluted comment where giving birth is the only time a woman comes close to understanding what a man goes through when he has a common cold.
Birth is the only time a woman comes close to understanding what it's like when a man has a common cold. Okay?
Are you well?
They talk more about boom boom, and then he says he doesn't want to force her into doing anything she doesn't want to do. And again, this is where we start to see the little sexist comments. We also start to see this man's obsession with sex. Like, I just have to say it flat out. Like, this man clearly has an obsession with sex. He's always making innuendos. He's always talking about it. He's always alluding to it. He's always, like, it just is weird. So keep that in mind. Hannah and Nick. So Hannah, once again, when they get back to their shared apartment, she brings up again how she feels like she has to tell Nick to do everything, otherwise he won't do it. You know, she says, look, like, I just want to have some chores that I do and some chores that you do. And again, Hannah, the first day you moved in there, rather than having that conversation with Nick, you just ambushed him immediately and said, you're not going to do anything, and I know you're not. Like, I don't know, why didn't you sit down and say, hey, can you do the dishes? Can you take out the trash? I'll cook, I'll sweep the floor, I'll vacuum. Can we split up walking the dog? I'm not even in y'all's house, and it was that simple to just divide up common household chores. So I don't know, Hannah. Now, she asks, hey, will we join bank accounts if we get married?
Or for a home.
We'll split all utilities. We'll split rent.
Yep.
Who's paying the bills? Are you paying the bills or am I paying the bills?
What do you think?
I think I'm
Agreed. She says, you know, when we share bank accounts, we're going to have accumulated debt, things like that. He says, well, lucky for me, I don't have student loans and I don't have debt. Hannah says, well, I do. I do have student loans. So, yeah. Now, they ultimately, or I should say she, because a lot of this is Hannah. Hannah does a lot of the talking between those two. But she ultimately agrees that she wants there to be separate bills until they have kids and that they could split bills, rent, and utilities. She starts to drag him because his parents pay his car note and his phone bill, which does confirm that man doesn't make money, as I kept saying. And she asks him, like, when will he start paying his own stuff? And he says in the next few years. Now, again, like, it's... some of these people, like, question why they come on this show. Would I want to be with a 28-year-old man whose mom pays his phone bill and pays everything and he doesn't pay anything? He lives with his mom. His mom is paying most of his bills. Would I want to be with that man? Probably not, because there's probably a reason why that's happening. And you can only fall on football for so long, saying, I was in football, I did football, I did. So I don't blame Hannah for being a bit apprehensive. I don't blame her for asking questions, because if they were to move in together, who's going to take over this stuff financially? If this man clearly can't even pay his own car note and phone bill, he clearly, as I said, does not have money. Like, there's just a financial problem going on there. Hannah then starts to go into stocks. She's like, do you know what stocks are? And he's like, I don't really know much about it. And she's like, okay, well, do you know about investing? Like, are you sure? Like, do you know anything? Do you know anything about how to do stocks? Have you ever invested in a stock yourself? And Hannah gets so fixated on investing into stocks. And she is so appalled that this man has no idea what investing in stocks is. She had me in this conversation. She had me. Because again, would I want to be with a 28-year-old man whose mom pays all his bills and he lives in her basement? No, I would not. But then Hannah lost me again because she starts to get nitpicky and do the most. And it's like, girl, you had me in the first half. So Ashley and Tyler, they do meet Ashley's dad.
Position where it's like, I'm able to cry. And she's like, nah, I love that for you.
Where did you grow up?
In Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh?
Yep.
Okay.
So she was like allowing me to just be myself and tell her like about my family, how I grew up and like.
Now he says that, excuse me, Tyler tells Ashley's dad that he loves Ashley because he can be vulnerable with her. You know, Ashley's dad is like, yeah, Ashley's the total package. Like, you gotta keep her here. The dad does ask, what do you do for work? And Tyler says, oh, I'm a security specialist. I do a lot of computer work. This man's job has changed like 5 times. If you guys have seen recent interviews of him, now he says he puts up fancy drywall. I'll see if I can find a clip and put it here for y'all. Now he says, I'm not a cheater. I'm loyal. Okay. Ashley likes, about Tyler that he made her feel safe enough to feel soft, and how he does the little things like opening doors, buying her flowers. She claims that it is rare to be loved the way that Tyler loves her in this generation. Now, Ashley goes away and he does ask Ashley's dad one-on-one for Ashley's hand in marriage, and dad says absolutely. So it all goes well for them. We end off our episode with Monica and Steven. So we come into Monica basically talking with Taylor. She is frantic. We really have no idea what happened. She's sitting on the couch. She's very upset. Steven made some comment about how when he gets back, there's going to be 1,000 women waiting to suck his ding dong. And that really upset Monica. And Steven is like walking around the apartment as this is happening. He does come back and like sit down, and Monica is basically like, I'll talk to you in a little while, Taylor, and Taylor heads out. So we find out that Steven did a sleep test last night, but she's not sure. She's like, were you even at the sleep test? What happened? Now, he was texting other women sexual things.
Stop acting like you're right. I know I'm right. Say something else. Why did you do this? Why did you propose? Why did you come here? Like, who are you? Were you at a sleep test last?
Sexual comments. And he tries to say, well, it's because I was at a sleep test last night. I was drunk, like I barely remembered it. Sir, you were drunk in a sleep test? You were drunk in a sleep test. Now, he tries to say that all of this happened. The reason that he was drunk was because of a conversation they had yesterday. The reason why he texted another girl, the reason why he was drunk in the first place is because of that conversation they had yesterday, which we don't know what it is. They never specified. She's done. She is absolutely done. She says, look, can you Venmo me right now for the money that I've been spotting you for the past few days? Can you please take your phone out and Venmo me now? Love that for her. I love that for her, because baby, I don't care if I was helping you out. If you gonna dog me out and treat me crazy, give me my money now. She's upset. She's like, you were supposed to meet my dad over the weekend and this is what you were doing. You were talking to other women. Like, what do you mean? He's like, how Steven could talk so much, except for when he's caught up. The only time Steven is speechless is when he's a piece of ish. Then all of a sudden, that man's mouth is tongue-tied. Okay? Because he was like, you know what? You're right. I should have never came on this show. I should have never done this to you. Sorry. And he just packs a bag and he heads out. Now, again, of course, in the scene, Netflix has been doing a terrible job at showing us what happened, so maybe spoiler alert, Monica did do an interview. I'm going to insert a clip here of what she said happened.
Just want to clear up like how I found the messages.
Yeah.
There's been some confusion already about that. So me and all the other engaged couples were living in the same apartment building in DC, and Sweet Taylor and Garrett had sent us a message earlier that day saying, hey guys, we're making you all fall cookies and we're going to bring them by later. Like, we're going to text when we're ready to drop them off. And so Steven and I were hanging out in the apartment, having a great, great time, laughing, there were no cameras. We were just having a great time. And he stepped into the bathroom, and as he did, his phone went off and he got a text that we were waiting for. And it was from Garrett. And I said, oh, babe, Garrett just texted. I'm, going to respond. It's about the cookies. And I went to go click the message, and next thing you know, I'm in his text and I see a girl's name, and I almost was like, this was something I was not expecting from this person really at all. And some people might think that that's crazy, but there was a second there that I literally remember thinking, like, should I click on this? Like, no, don't be crazy. And I clicked.
And what was in the messages?
Honestly, I've been asked this a lot, even then when it was happening real time. And I scrolled through a bunch, but I was just so, I mean, I was so taken aback. Like I couldn't breathe. That even right after it all went down, I didn't even remember the girl's name. Truly remember seeing like really kinky, dirty talk. Like one specific message was just talking about how um, he's never been able to find someone who satisfies his kinks the way that she does. They were like, and I'm not kink shaming. I've been accused of kink shaming already. Like I just didn't know that this was the person I was, that I was sharing a bed with by any means. That's exactly how I felt in that moment. And the other thing is, like, I was taking this so seriously. Like, I was really in love with this person. And one of the things that you don't get to see a lot of this on the show thus far is how much I talked about my past with cheating. I've been cheated on, gosh, in my 30s. I don't even know if I've had a relationship where I haven't been cheated on. So that was something that I really opened up to Steven about often. And he made me feel so safe. And like, I never in a million years would have thought that he would have done what he did. It was such a big part of our relationship, was just talking through my trauma.
Because it clarifies things a little bit. So skip a few minutes if you don't want to see what actually happened, the interview that Monica did. But anyway, coming back from that, remember when I said episode 1, the way Steven talked about cheating let me know that he actually hasn't learned from the cheating? Remember that? I hate to say I'm right, but every single season of Love is Blind, I'm right. About these. Every single season, I am right. It's actually insane. I didn't know I was this good at reading people until I started recapping the show, because like every single season, I'm right. The way he talked about cheating let me know he did not learn from the cheating. He didn't learn from the cheating. This man has done an interview after the show saying, the lesson I learned is put a password on your phone. I do think this man has a sex addiction. I think he has a sex addiction and he cannot handle not getting it. And he has to talk to other women and he has to get his fix and he has to always be like this man. Other women from the pods have came out saying that Steven was making sexual comments to them and they put him as their lowest ranking because of it. And apparently a lot of those other women didn't really want to say anything to Monica, understandably so, because they didn't want her to think that they were purposely trying to like tear them two apart. But like, there's been red flags about this man from day one. And surely enough, he cheated on Monica. He was never ready to get married. He was never ready to get married. And I think for this man, he started to realize he was in over his head with someone like Monica. And because of that, instead of being a grown man, he just walks out. Because the conflict resolution, the confrontation, the skills to confront your partner are not there. And more importantly, I do think this man has a sex addiction. So that's how we end off episode 8. Let's go on to episode 9, where more madness happens. So, we start off with Ashley and Tyler having a conversation in the shared apartment about the number of kids they want to have. He originally says 7, then 3. This man is a menace.
I have great names. I don't want to tell.
Well, don't.
Yeah. I have very unique names.
This man is a menace. Talking about he want 3 kids. Menace. They discuss who will name the kids. But Ashley does say, look, I don't want to get pregnant until after we get married. Baby girl, you need to make sure you're not getting pregnant by that man. Period. Now, Hannah and Nick Hannah is cooking, and she asks Nick to help her out with the cooking. So she asks him to boil pasta, and he's like, that's it? That's all you want me to do? But then low-key, Nick had no idea how to boil water to make pasta. Nick, I've been rooting for you, okay? Nick, I've been trying, but some of these little things, I'm like, oh, I know I'd be like Hannah. I know I'd be like Hannah in this moment and be like, you really don't know how to boil water? He is asking her how to do every little thing. Like, this man is literally like, how much should I put the temperature on? How much water exactly should I put? And Hannah's getting frustrated. And I get that, because I would, like I said. Now, Hannah starts to get annoyed, and he's like, it's been a while, but I'll remember, okay? Never mind, it's been a while. Sir, what do you mean? If you know how to boil water and boil pasta, you're gonna know how to boil it all the time. It don't matter if it's been a while. But anyways, Hannah's brother, Cade, comes over.
With her, like, she's fucking great, but also she'll say things, and then if I say the same level of thing back, it's like a problem.
Right. I love her for who she is, but some of the things.
Nick says, look, I want someone that's gonna put me in my place. You know, I want a woman like Hannah, because they start to talk about Hannah, and Hannah's brother jokes like, bitch boy, like, you know, but he says he wants a dominant woman. Definitely. Nick definitely gives me tease that he wants a woman that's like his mom. Like, he lives with his mom. His mom seems like a very strong personality. Definitely gives me tease he wants a woman like that. Now, Nick does take a little jab at Hannah for being unemployed. I forgot the exact joke, but Hannah does end up getting upset because she claims that he took it too far. I think he was talking about putting away laundry or something, and how, you know, she did a good job with it because she has a lot of time because she's unemployed. Something of that nature. And it's like, she gets upset even though this girl has talked endless loads of shit about Nick. Excuse me. Endless loads. So when Hannah walks away, Nick starts to talk with Hannah's brother, and he's basically saying that, like, Hannah can say things that are so cruel, and it kind of really hurts. And the crazy thing is, Cade, Hannah's brother, actually agrees with him. He's like, oh yeah, I know. Hannah's always been like that. Like, you know, I'll make a joke, but then if she might make a joke, she might take a jab at me, but if I say something on the same level, she'll get upset. It's been something I've dealt with Hannah my whole life. And baby, the brother's not the only part of Hannah's family that doesn't like her. Hannah's family, baby, they have had enough of Hannah. Child, when your own family knows how irritating you are, you might want to start looking inward. Anyway, Taylor and Garrett, they're talking after the whole incident that happened with Monica. Taylor really loves how caring Garrett was when Monica was going through the stuff with Steven. She just loves that, like, he was even willing to be there for her friend as well. He says, again, that his family has some apprehension about this process, but it is nothing with her personally. She thanks him for coming to San Diego. They're going to go to San Diego, and she thanks him for being willing to go to San Diego to meet her dad in person and ask for his hand in marriage, I don't know why I can't talk, guys. Because he does not want to be on camera. And I guess their little drama is going to be, what is dad going to say? What if dad doesn't say yes? Shall we know these two? I haven't seen a spoiler. I don't know anything about what really happens, but if I had to predict, them two are definitely going to be married. So Tim and Ashley, they go to Tim's house. All I wrote is Tim has a nice house. I think it's a condo. It looks like it's a condo. Very nice, very clean, very big. Pure contrast to Alex's apartment. Now, Marissa and Ramses meet Marissa's family, aka her mom and her 5 siblings. So we found out Marissa has 5 siblings. All of them have different dads. Okay. So Marissa's mom is a character. She's a tough woman. I'll give her that. She's a tough woman.
I thought about going back to school.
And what do you have a degree in right now?
So I went to college, but I dropped out. The reason I dropped out is my dad passed away when I was 20.
Her first comment is that Ramses and Marissa look like siblings. I was like, okay. Now, she drags Ramses' hair. She's like, it's not giving. The hair is not giving. I was like, oh, nah. Oh, nah. But they do talk about the moment they had regarding the military conversation. Now, this is when Marissa's mom starts to kick into overdrive, okay? She asks, what are your career plans, okay? Because Marissa, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, which this shows me Marissa and her mom, I guess, are not that close. Because Marissa said the literal direct opposite in the pods, that she wanted a man who was going to be willing to stay home with the kids because she doesn't want to have to stay home with the kids. So, contradictions there. She's like, what are your plans? She's in law school. She's going to want to practice. She's not going to want to have to be forced to work if she has a kid. Ramses does admit that he dropped out of college when his dad passed away, but obviously we know he has a job. He lives alone in DC, so he seems to do pretty well for himself regardless. So, once again, her mom chimes in and says, I don't want you to be relying on Marissa's money, or I don't want to have to come live with y'all because, Marissa has to work when you have the baby. And I was like, wait. So Ramses does start to explain how he was previously married, how it didn't really work out, how he was saying, like, he found out that his ex-wife and him were just kind of in different spots. Mom cuts off. She's like, okay, you both figured that out, though. It's not just her fault. You both figured that out. You both came to that conclusion. He starts to try to, like, explain marriage, and she's like, are you really explaining marriage to me? This lady, cha. Now, when Marissa leaves, because Marissa gets up to go, her mom is, the mom is literally like, you two should get a prenup. Because I don't believe in forever, okay? You stay with each other, you're with each other until you can tolerate, until you can't tolerate each other anymore. And so you're gonna need that prenup because forever does not exist. And once again, she says, I don't want to feel like Marissa is being used for her money. So that is why I go for the prenup. Marissa eventually comes back. But child, look, seeing Marissa's mom gave me a lot of context for why Marissa is the way she is. I actually feel like I understand Marissa extremely heavily once we've seen her mom. I do have some questions though, because Marissa said in the pods that her mom is like religious. It sounded like she was like a strong religious woman. Not really the person I got from this. But I feel like I understand a lot about Marissa having 5 siblings, everybody having different dads. Was her mom the one in the military? Obviously. Obvious things. I think Ramses did a great job during these questions. I think he was able to articulate himself. I think every time the mom tried to put a trap door down, he was able to speak through it and explain himself thoroughly, which I like. I do think Ramses is a good communicator. I don't know why her mom was so rude. Like, I just feel like her behavior was so brash and so rude. And I don't know, she was talking a lot about Marissa being used for her money, but it's also like, Marissa's in law school. And she even said during this conversation herself, like, I don't really have money right now. Like, I'm still practicing. Like, I'm still studying. Like, So it was very odd, but I do think Ramses did a very good job with navigating that situation. Because God only knows if I met a partner's parent and that's how they treated me, I would have got up and left. I would have been like, straight up, I don't care if that's your mom. I'm not going to let nobody talk to me like that. I'm not doing that. Sorry. Yeah, nope. So good for him. Going on to Hannah and Nick, they are meeting Hannah's parents. So they're trying to talk, and as they're talking, just having small talk, Hannah's like, are you gonna grill him now? And Hannah's dad's like, what's the point of grilling him? Like, he's already done. Like, this is already done. Like, you guys are already about to get married. And I just laughed because I was like, finally, a parent that says the truth. Now, she starts to make some joke about how she's so perfect and no one can really, live up to her, So obviously Nick would want her. And her mom goes, Hannah, are you serious? Baby, her parents were not having this. Her family, both the brother and the two parents, they were like, no way.
He does this, so I can't, you know what I mean? So for her just to be even interested,
making it this
yeah,
far,
it's like, then there must be something.
I'm very overcritical of you, but at the same time, we are getting...
Her parents have had enough of her ish. And her mom actually says, Hannah, you need to stop nitpicking and let that stuff go. Stop nitpicking this man. He seems like a nice guy. What is wrong with you? Her mom straight up says, it's not him. He seems pretty relaxed, so chill out. I was very confused. Some people said online that they felt like maybe Hannah doesn't typically act this way, so her family was a little bit thrown off at how she was acting. I don't know though, because based off of the description of what we saw in the little blurb preseason, she did say this is her personality, that she is harsh, but it can come off as rude. But I think in either case, her family was begging her to calm down. They were like, please, Nick, please. Hannah, this is your only chance. We want to marry you off because we are done with your BS. They were not having Hannah whatsoever. Ooh, child. Now, Alex and Tim, they go to Alex's apartment.
You have a really big mirror.
I do.
Too bad we can't see it.
Oh my. Tim?
Sorry.
You couldn't have somebody clean it for you. This apartment was filthy. It was filthy. There were stains on the carpet. There was bags of trash everywhere. Clothes slathered everywhere. And she tries to be like, oh, I was gonna sell some stuff. Even through the mess, I know where everything is. I feel at peace. This is my sanctuary. Girl, you're having company over. You went to the pods for 2 weeks and this is how you left your house? That's not it. That's not it. That is not it. That was beyond just a little messy. That was filthy. That was dirty. And I'm sorry, but if I went to someone's place and I saw them living like that, that would be an absolute no for me. That would be a no for me. You're a grown-ass woman and you live like that? I'm just okay, if you don't like to clean, you mean to tell me you couldn't get cleaners to come to your apartment before you had company over? Before you brought a camera crew in? You brought a camera crew to your apartment looking like that? Yeah. That's a no for me. Anyway, with Taylor and Garrett, they go to one of Taylor's friends' condos just to hang out. They talk a little bit more about this move to San Diego. And Garrett, every single conversation that they have about this, Garrett is coming around more and more, it seems like. Yeah, he has his apprehensions, but he's basically made up his mind. He's going to go because he loves Taylor. Now, Marissa and Ramses, they are talking after the conversation with Marissa's family. Ramses does say that he would be okay with a prenup. He's not here for money. It's not his intent. So sure, you want a prenup, you can have a prenup. He says, ideally, he would like to have kids in a minimum of 3 years, ideally 4. Now, this is where things start to get weird. She says that she needs to talk about birth control with her doctor, though she wasn't really planning to get back on birth control. She didn't want to have to. He says, look, like, I don't really want you to go on it if it's going to affect your health or affect like your mood.
Okay, cool. So we can disagree to have condom sex from here on out.
It's not really enjoyable, baby. Sex is supposed to be like mutually enjoyable. Like it's not something that guys, ever have the pressure to having to think about.
He's like, maybe I could wear a rubber or something. Now, she says she'd be cool with that, like with only having rubber sex. He says, I don't know though, because like it's not as pleasurable. It's not as enjoyable. Like I wouldn't really want to just do it with rubber. He says, you know, whatever it is, the sex gotta be enjoyable. So essentially, this man tells her, because having sex with a rubber is not enjoyable, he needs her to get on birth control because no matter what, the sex gotta be enjoyable. You know, I always find it interesting, right? Because Ramses seems to be the one here who has this hard line limit on when he wants to have a kid. He does not want to have a kid for 3 to 4 more years. You are the one that has this instated number where you 100% do not want to have a kid in that time period. For somebody who's so liberal and somebody who's so progressive, supposedly, you're going to basically push her into a corner and gaslight her into getting back on birth control because sex with a rubber is not enjoyable. This is what I mean with these little fake woke activist types. Like, it's not for me. It's not for me. These little fake woke activists, because this is exactly how they act. You know, they're so woke and so liberal, but then you have a conversation like this and you want to force a woman on birth control. Because, oh, how dare you have to do it with a rubber on because it's so uncomfortable for you. Anyway, Nick and Hannah, they meet Nick's family, Nick's parents. Nick's parents both really like Hannah. Hannah cooks with Nick's mom.
About his loyalty, I never have to worry about him loving me. I never have to worry about him doing anything for me.
And probably my kids have been pampered a little bit because you want to give your kids what you didn't have.
Yeah, I get that.
And it was all about sports with them. So I mean, that's one thing that
you know, they talk, they chat. She really likes her. They all really like her. All right, Ashley and Tyler. So we come back post-fight. That's the theme this season is post-fight. Ashley had left the apartment because she needed some space. Basically, she says a bomb was dropped on her, you know, and she is puzzled. How could you talk about having kids if this is your past?
Single woman before this, to come in this scenario, to fall in love with a guy who has 3 sperm babies, sperm donor babies, is a lot.
We just had that conversation the other day. And you whole time had kids? Yes, ma'am, he does. So he had dropped the kids on her, the bomb that he has kids. He, you know, we don't see the actual conversation, but Ashley's like, being with a kid that has 3 sperm babies is a lot. Or being with a guy that has 3 sperm babies is a lot. You know, she says she's upset because she feels like she wasn't a part of anything. And, you know, Tyler's profusely apologizing. And as we obviously know, spoiler alert, if you want to just know what happened on the show, probably just stop watching here. But as you obviously know, we obviously know Tyler is way more than just a sperm donor for these children. The baby mother has came out and said that's not true. We have seen pictures. The grandmother has come out and said that is not true. There are multiple people that have said that. So again, Tyler has told multiple women at this point, including Ashley, that he's just a donor. But we know that's not the case. We know that's not true. And the crazier and even more like menacing part of this all is that conversation they had in Mexico where they're talking about, oh, in the future, we're going to start traditions. Oh, we want to have this many kids. They've had multiple conversations about kids and when they have kids. And never once in one of those conversations did this man think to say something. It wasn't disclosed on his application. Like, come on, bruh. But I've already done a lot of videos on Tyler. As I said, go watch my tea videos if you want further stuff. Like I said, some of them, one video does have a spoiler for the end of the season. So check the description box, check the pinned comments before you watch those videos, those tea videos, so you are not spoiled by accident, okay? Now anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it here, I can't believe it, y'all. Every season, we never have a normal season of this show. If you made it to this point of the video, that means you liked the video. So please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Okay, help me drum up engagement. Please make sure you are subscribed, that you have the bell on so you always get my updates. And yeah, make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube unsubscribes people. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.